Now, Mark, there's been a story in the news over the last several days, and I don't know if there have been any updates on it within the last 24 hours or so. I haven't looked, but there was big headlines earlier in the week about this hacker that has hacked into the Apple iCloud, as it's called. And for those that don't know, the cloud is a storage technology where instead of storing things on your phone or on your computer, you store them on the internet. You store them on the cloud, which is basically just, a set of servers out there somewhere that stores files for you and then syncs them to your device and that kind of thing. So turns out what was happening was, shocker, people were taking pictures of themselves naked and or in sexual positions or taking video of sexual things and posting them to their cloud, which they thought was private and should have been. Turns out there was a security flaw, and Apple didn't patch the flaw in time or whatever. Somebody found the flaw, and they exploited that flaw, and they got access to what it was ostensibly hundreds of celebrity accounts.
Yep.
And were able to download pictures of naked celebrities, and now the world's going crazy.
Yeah, and people like pictures of naked celebrities. That's that's it. I mean, there's lots of pictures, lots of demand for that.
Let's see. One of them was Jennifer Lawrence, who is the lead actress in the Hunger Games, as I understand it.
Yep, I saw a picture of her. Now, I thought there was a great quote today coming from a Ariana Grande or Grande. I'm not sure how she pronounces it.
I don't know either. She's a singer of some sort.
Something like that. I don't know who she is, but I'll tell you what, she's got chutzpah. She says she's much cuter than the leaked nude pictures. Fake leaked nude pictures is her claim. So
she's saying that had they been pictures of her, they'd have been even better.
You wish you got some naked pictures of me, Buster.
She's an attractive lady.
That would be a really good day for you.
Yeah, she's an attractive lady.
She seems fine. Yeah,
there have been
no shortage of attractive women, but being clever in the face of adversity, there's a shortage of that, and so I'm proud of her for that quote. Good for her.
One of the responses on this has been anger, right? Like that this has happened, and we're going to get lawyers involved, and we're going to do something about this.
What else would we do, right?
And I posted on my Facebook page about this and basically said, look, if you don't want the pictures to get out there, just don't take the pictures.
It's excellent advice.
And that's not. And then I was told I was victim shaming. And I'm sorry, that's not victim shaming. Look.
Well, I don't know if you're victim shaming or not.
Because people were victims of a hacking, right? Like they didn't put these out there intentionally. It wasn't even the boyfriend, like the ex-boyfriend, what do they call those, the revenge porn, where the ex-boyfriend or girlfriend will post pictures to one of these revenge porn sites to kind of get back at somebody. It wasn't that either.
Well, it was worse. It was people not taking responsibility for the pictures that they took by putting them up on this centralized server.
Well, they figured it'd be secure. I mean, you don't think that when you take a picture and put it on the cloud that it's going to be hacked. But
ladies and gentlemen, when you trust large organizations like Apple and Google
Home
and
Depot,
these organizations, they are going to lose your information.
Yeah,
they're going to lose it.
Whether it's your credit card information or your nudie pictures.
I'm sorry, history isn't on your side. You can claim ignorance, and you may be ignorant, but the ignorance is your fault.
Right. I mean, it's not blaming the victim to give someone advice for the future. To say, look,
I don't think it is.
If you don't take the picture, you can't lose them. You can't have them fall into the hands of someone who you don't want them to have.
Indeed. I mean,
you don't want to have them.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it obvious?
I mean, it seems like it should be obvious. And if you take these pictures, then you really shouldn't be so upset. I mean, there's always a good chance that whoever it was, the ex that you were with, because in a lot of cases, these pictures are taken for the benefits of somebody that they're in love with.
Somebody's career is getting drop kicked to the moon right now over these pictures. I don't know who it is. I'm not paying enough attention.
There's a fairly large group of people that this is affecting.
But so. I hear Jennifer Lawrence's name over and over again.
She's probably one of the bigger names on the list.
If she handles this with aplomb,
she has not.
I don't know. I mean,
she's allegedly one of the ones who has threatened attorneys.
I don't know. Maybe that's aplomb and maybe it's not. This is about managing the issue. And there are people out there whose careers have been vitalized just from sex videos and things
That's
like
true.
that. So this could be great. I don't remember I saw one of these pictures. Somebody was in the studio looking at them, and oh, yeah, okay. And I thought, not bad, right?
There's a naked woman.
Well, you need to understand is when you see Playboy or porn, is you have body models. These are people who have really great bodies, and they do what they can with their face, right? It's awesome to have a really great body and a really great face, but to have a really great face, the ability to act, and then on top of that look good with your clothes off is pretty difficult. There are plenty of people, men and women in this world, who look better with clothes on than they look with their clothes off. And that's fine if you're going to have a job where you keep your clothes on. It's not so fine if you have a job where you keep your clothes off.
In a lot of cases,
whoever this was, and I don't remember which one it was, they have apparently all three. Good on them.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think that if you're going to be taking naked pictures of yourself, that you should be so upset about it. I mean, really, there's a good chance that your lover is going to not love you at some point in the future, or going to be upset at you, and that's why these revenge porn websites are so popular.
If you're going to take nude pictures of yourself, first, don't use an iPhone. Secondly, take the pictures, store them on a thumb drive that you keep in that safe or whatever you have in the house, the firebox, whatever place you keep.
What's the point of that?
Because you don't want them to get out.
Then why? Okay, look, the reason why people take these pictures is usually to probably share them with somebody.
I'm not
they
sure
care
that that's
about.
the case. When you're talking about somebody who makes their living on the camera, then they may very well just be looking at what they look like.
That's possible.
I've never done this. I look at myself in the mirror when I get out of the shower. I go, oh God,
enough.
I'm fat. So I don't take these pictures. But they might be taking the pictures just to look at them and say, what do I look like?
It is possible that another option is that they are collecting them. You're right. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. But typically, at least when you hear about these stories, because usually it's not a hacking that results in this. Usually it's some lover who puts them online.
That does happen often.
And in that case, usually those pictures, at least, were taken and explicitly shared with that lover.
I don't have
That
any.
was why they were taken. The lover went on vacation or something, and the person took some naked pictures to keep the lover tided over while he or she was on vacation.
I don't have any advice on how to properly take naked pictures that you're going to give people. I don't have it. I would claim that you can probably do as well with pictures of, in some level of undress that you're giving that aren't going to be nearly as compromising, and that is the wise thing to do in this circumstance. I don't know.
So the Los Angeles Times here, Mark, and you've admitted to looking at one of these pictures. They say, one of the people there in their opinion column says you shouldn't click on nude celebrity photos, or something else we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, beheading porn.
I see. I wouldn't call that porn, but okay.
This is a story from Pat Morrison is the reporter or the opinionist over at LATimes.com. Maybe you couldn't resist, writes Pat. After all, what would it hurt? And who would know? So you clicked and watched that video of an American man in an orange jumpsuit getting his head cut off.
Well, no, I didn't want to watch, and I didn't watch.
I didn't either. I tried to avoid it.
We were on the air talking about it, and then I realized, you know what? I have a job to do. I have a job to inform people of, what is news. I think American foreign policy is important, and that this video is part of that. So to suggest that I shouldn't look at it and report on it and have an opinion really is something entirely different.
Or maybe you clicked on a different site to have a glance, just a glimpse, honest, at one of those glamorous actresses, naked. In the latter case, it makes you a party to a theft. In the former, it makes you the audience for mass murderers. The editorial piece here, the opinion piece at the LA Times, says that you shouldn't be watching the naked pictures or videos of the celebrities that have leaked out over the last few days, and you shouldn't be watching the beheading videos. They claim that in the case of the pictures of the celebs, it makes you a party to a theft. In the former, it makes you the audience for mass murderers. You can watch all the online porn that you can afford, says the author, and play all the realistically violent video games you can stomach. This is different. Of course people are curious. I'm curious about what heroin would be like, but that doesn't mean I'll be gratifying that curiosity.
Yeah, well, the reason that you wouldn't choose not to do heroin has a lot less to do, has a lot more to do with its ill effects on your life than it's illegal.
But isn't this person? Let's see, it's Pat Morrison. I don't know if that's a guy or not, but anyway, isn't Pat here making a point that if you're looking at the pictures of the celebrities, that you're party to a theft?
I don't believe that's the case.
Aren't you receiving stolen property?
Well, what is first off, everything's stolen. I mean, everything you have is there's so many things that are stolen. Look at the jewelry we've got. Gold's been around a long time. They wrote about it in the Bible, right? So unless you got gold from land that was never stolen from anyone.
All right, now you're really reaching here.
I'm not
come
reaching.
on.
What's the point? I mean,
most
first
people
off,
who
if you're
bought
going to talk
jewelry-
about what's stolen, let's talk about what's stolen. Okay, these are things that have actually been stolen from somebody. These pictures from these celebrities. They aren't missing their nipples because I'm looking at them, okay? They haven't lost anything, so the claim that I have stolen something is tenuous at best.
But there's a breach. I mean, there's been a security breach here.
Okay, there's a security breach.
This hacker got into Apple's system. They pulled down these photos. So that's not theft?
Security breach is,
or is it just working the system?
The person
is it because Apple left a bug in the software? You're just exploiting a bug and you're working the system.
I don't know the answer as to whether or not it seems to me that that's vandalism and whatever. If you want to call it theft, that's fine. But the responsibility for theft comes from the person who did the stealing. Either that, or we're all guilty of theft. I have spent a lot of time thinking about this, Ian, and the best I can come up with is. You're guilty of theft if you steal something, and if you're a party to it, I would
then
never.
It's receiving stolen property. Which is a different crime.
That's a different crime, but is it a crime in a moral sense? And I'm not sure it is entirely.
Only if you know it's stolen.
I don't know that that's the case either. Look,
you have to knowingly receive stolen property.
I know that the land I live on and the land you live on was stolen from Abenaki Indians.
I'm not responsible for that.
Oh, now you're not responsible. A minute ago, I was responsible for
I didn't say
receiving
you were
stolen
responsible. I'm not. This is not my opinion. This is the opinion of the author at LA Times. He's saying it makes you a party to a theft, which can be an accessory, not that you're the actual thief. No one's saying that.
I don't know
by
whether
looking
he's
at this-
talking about a legal sense or whether he's talking about a moral sense. I could care less
Maybe
about
both.
a
I don't
legal
know.
claim, and I only care about his moral claim. A legal claim is just a bunch of liars, paid liars, as we call them down in the South. They're liars instead of lawyers. I don't care what they say. It's beyond me. I don't care. But if you're talking about a moral sense, let's have a conversation about what stealing is.
Back to the story. He says the videos of the beheadings of journalists James Foley and Stephen Sotloff are both indecently intimate invasions into the last moments of each man's life and propaganda. Foley's family implored us, saying, quote, "Don't watch the video. Don't share it. That's not how life should be," unquote. YouTube took it down, but like a hydra, it sprang up in many other places. The naked celebrity images are stolen as surely as if someone swiped them out of a Hermes purse. The much Googled phrase celebrity nude photo leak wrongly...
Is a Hermes purse an expensive purse?
I'm going to guess it is.
Okay.
Wrongly implies the celebrities or their agents released them. The cheeky web gossip Perez Hilton posted some of the photos and was shamed by his followers into taking them down and apologizing to actress Jennifer Lawrence. When we click on the links to these pictures, we implicitly endorse the means used to get them and encourage people who make money or reputations from the hits to go do more of the same. Is there an argument there?
Yes. There's an argument that if you look at pictures of naked celebs, that you then give these people that work for basically clickbait, that it's all about the clicks. You do give them a reason to do what they do. Sure.
The British publication...
It's the same argument that drug users are guilty for the actions of drug dealers and, blaming poor people for wanting a better life in foreign countries and a whole variety of other things that are claimed. I think that it's a tenuous claim at best.
Well, it sounds I tend to agree with you on that. It sounds very similar to the claim that, voting endorses the system. by voting that you're somehow totally giving your say so and your go ahead through to the entire
It's even sadder
structure.
than that. I'm sorry, voting, you can vote no on everything that you see come before you. You can vote for the smaller government choice. Sometimes it's very, 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 very hard. But most of the time, I'd say that.
No, but what I'm saying is that the argument of the anti-voting crowd is, a lot of times, one of their main arguments is that by voting, even if you vote for the libertarian or the voluntarist or whatever, the anarchist, that somehow you're endorsing the system. That they take this, there's this huge logical jump going from the act of voting and your own motivations for it to what they believe that your motivations are or that your actions are in some way endorsing.
I understand what you're saying, and you're wrong. And let me point out why.
You're saying my comparison is wrong.
Your comparison sucks, and here's why. When you click on something and see the picture of the naked lady who's famous, you give quantifiably one click to people who make money on clicks. When you vote...
That's not necessarily true.
Well, you could, depending on where you get
torrent.
Depending on where you go get it or something. But, I mean, many people are going to look at it. I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at these pictures. I don't care about these pictures. Oh, my goodness. Here's somebody famous that's naked. I'd rather see somebody, naked that looks good naked rather than somebody. I just don't care. But when you vote, you aren't necessarily voting for the system. When you click, you are necessarily clicking for the system.
But you're wrong because you're not necessarily clicking to benefit anyone's system.
If you can somehow
These
avoid
pictures are all
the
over the
clicking
place.
system, then I would say the argument is invalid.
Yes, you are invalid because there are all kinds of locations where one can go and get these photos. 4chan, of course, was the location where they were first released, and there's no clickbaiting going on there. You can get them through the torrent sites. There's more coming up here. 855, 450 free. What do you think? Los Angeles Times author Pat Morrison saying, hey, you shouldn't be looking at those pictures of those celebrities. You shouldn't be watching the videos, the alleged beheading videos that we've talked about here this week on Free Talk Live and a couple weeks ago as well. Back to the story here. The argument is that when you click on the links to the pictures, that endorses implicitly the means used to get them and encourage people who make money or reputations from the hits to do more of the same. Well, whether or not you click on them is, certainly not going to ultimately decide whether or not somebody else hacks into some iCloud account. But I guess the argument is that if only everyone wouldn't click on these pictures, then no one would hack the pictures anymore, is essentially what this person is saying, which of course is ridiculous because to convince everyone to not click on nude celebrity photos or
it just ain't going to happen.
Beheading videos just isn't going to happen. But is there a decent point that this person's making, that it is in some way wrong to do so? And maybe it's persuasive that this is somehow encouraging theft or encouraging digital breaking and entering in the case of the nude photos. Let me go on here. So they talk about how Perez Hilton, apparently this kind of entertainment blogger, had posted some of the photos and was shamed into taking them down.
For the longest time, thought this was Paris Hilton had gotten a real job. I didn't know.
No, somebody else. In fact, I think it's a guy. The British publication The Spectator calls the Islamic State images beheading porn, talking about the videos of the people allegedly being beheaded. And there's no shortage of them, thanks to the Islamic State and its propaganda effort. They may inflame, they may titillate, they may intimidate, but inevitably they coarsen and degrade. And isn't that giving the Islamic State what it wants?
Giving the Islamic State what they want is, well, that's a really tough question. What they want is they want the United States out of the Middle East. So
clicking on nudie videos or beheading videos isn't going to stop that.
Well, do I want to give them what they want? I guess I do want to give them what they want because I don't think the United States has any business in the Middle East. So I think that, yes, I want to give them what they want, but clicking on the video doesn't have anything to do with that.
Toll-free number is 855-450.
Can't I make the argument that if these reporters didn't go to the Middle East in the first place, they wouldn't be there and they wouldn't be giving the Islamic State what they want?
There's a good argument to be made here that ultimately this is all a big waste of time. That this nudie thing with the celebrities was top headline At least on the Drudge Report it was for at least a day, and it was major headlines for 2 days after that. Like I said, I don't know what the update is today. I guess you said Ariana Grande has said something about those are fake pictures and she would look better if they were real pictures.
Yeah. I look so much better than that.
So
was
I mean,
the suggestion.
to some extent, it's a commentary. The fact that people are so obsessed with this and that the news media is picking up on that is a commentary of how vapid perhaps society can be, how celebrity obsessed people can be. But ultimately, there are some interesting issues to be discussed within this particular news story. One of them being the idea that you are responsible for your security. And if you trust somebody like Apple or Google or whoever, Home Depot, Target, if we're talking about credit card info, for instance, if you trust anybody else with your security, then it's out of your hands, and you just have to trust them and hope that they get it right. And maybe you'll luck out. Maybe you won't get hacked. But maybe you will. And there's nothing you can ultimately do if you aren't taking your own steps to secure things. So, Mark, you had talked about if you have pictures and you want them to be secure, put them on some sort of an encrypted device, put them on an encrypted file folder.
Well, even if it's not encrypted, if you just keep it on a thumb drive and you're safe, you'll be better off.
Right, or encrypted on the thumb drive in the safe.
That's a better choice.
So, but my point being that you have to go through the steps necessary to protect your data, whether that data is naked pictures, your Bitcoin wallet, or documents important to your business.
Speaking of which, I was just thinking about mentioning this, and then you brought it up. You and I trusted an organization that we should have trusted early on in Bitcoin. We
got hosed.
Yeah, we had what is now probably thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin stolen from us in the mybitcoinwallet.com debacle. And this was just
what they were called. I'd forgotten their name.
Yeah, this was just a website. They weren't a sponsor or anything like that. Just a website where you could put your
let's
Bitcoins.
Put some Bitcoins here.
Just put the Bitcoins here. And essentially what you did is we gave money to somebody who didn't know.
It was a scam.
And they just took it from us.
That's what happens.
Thousands of dollars worth.
Buyer beware, as they say. But here's another angle to this story. There's multiple people that were hacked in this celebrity hacking. One of them is an Olympic gymnast. Most of them were celebrities as far as movies and TV shows and things. But Michaela Maroney was one of many whose nude photos or alleged nude photos.
Talented young lady.
She's 18 now, and apparently she had originally claimed these were fake. But now she's changed her story, and she's admitting they were real and saying that, you shouldn't have these because they were taken when she was under the age of 18.
Now, I've got to say, the one thing that I get from this is sort of the shame that she felt about taking these pictures. She must have felt shame if she lied, right? Because I don't feel she should feel shame about that. I'm just imagining these pictures are completely just naked pictures as opposed to some kind of weird, porn kind of thing. I'm just imagining these are naked pictures. There's nothing wrong in my mind with taking naked pictures of yourself. Letting them out of your sight and things like that, unadvisable. I would suggest not taking the pictures, but if you choose to do it, I get it. A young woman, growing into herself may want to see what somebody might look at from a third party. I get it. Nothing wrong with it. She shouldn't feel shame. I think it's terrible that she feels shame over this.
Right, and of course they have... her attorney has sent out letters to porn.com informing them that she was under the age of 18. Reddit has pulled down the subreddits where these photos were being posted, and so they're claiming this is child pornography, which of course it's not, in my opinion at least. If they are nude photos, then they're not porn. I think that you have to have some sort of sexual thing going on in a photo for it to be pornography. And the idea that, someone who was 17 and 6 months or however old she was at the time these pictures were taken, the idea that the, picture in a shower or something like that is somehow porn,
right,
I disagree with.
Well, I think that a good thing to point out is that it doesn't matter whether you think. Can families nudist families, can they take pictures of their kids at events? And the answer is yes. So if you think this is porn, you're going to need to prove that. You have made a criminal accusation, and what you have said is slanderous unless unless you can prove it. So watch watch your tongue, people, because the very laws that you wish to enact, people, will come back and stab you through your throat.
Well, I think it's interesting that Michaela actually came out and admitted these were real, because ultimately she may be admitting herself into criminal charges. I mean, we've seen case after case where teenagers are charged with manufacturing child pornography for just taking naked pictures of themselves. Now, maybe if they were to actually go to trial, they could defeat those charges because it's not child porn. It's not porn of any sort if it's just naked pictures. But nobody ever goes to trial because they get scared. They're felony charges or whatever.
Yeah,
and
nobody wants a felony charge, that's for sure.
They take the plea deal. So it makes me wonder, is Michaela Maroney going to be treated like the average teenager?
The answer is no.
And charged with manufacturing child pornography for admitting that she took her own naked pictures. But another question came up with Olympic gymnast Michaela Maroney. She apparently was under the age of 18 when she took the pictures that were leaked out.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me wonder, and I didn't ask this question in the last segment, not only was I wondering, will she be arrested like many other teenagers have been arrested, 15, 16, 17, whatever. These are young people who have been arrested and charged with child pornography for taking nude pictures of themselves. It's called sexting, and it's kind of a thing these days.
Didn't she get texted by Barack Obama after winning the gold or something like that?
I have no idea.
I believe that's the case.
Are you suggesting she took these pictures for Barack Obama?
I am not suggesting that, and that's kind of a weird thing to suggest that I might be suggesting. However, I would say that she is part of now the privileged class, and that
she won't be charged.
Any prosecutor that decided to take a case up against her would, like their career's on the line. So the answer is no. Here's
the other question. These pictures were out for days before this news came out that Michaela Maroney, first she said they weren't her. Now she says she was underage and they are, in point of fact, her. So for days.
That's like two different stories, right?
For days, these pictures were out and they were being shared all over the place. They're still up on torrent. You can go download look for The Fappening on
that's awful.
The Pirate Bay. And you'll find multiple uploads of purportedly all of the pictures that have been released thus far. Now, the hacker in this case saying that he or she has more and will be
That hacker in this
more.
Case is going to go to jail.
Yeah, well, if they find out who it is. But
probably will.
So my question was, if you had looked at the pictures of Michaela Maroney and you did not know she was 17 or 16 or however old she was at the time, if you presumed,
are you evil,
that she was 18, is knowingly a factor in child pornography crimes? Do you have to know?
I don't know.
Because obviously, if it's a child, you know, right? But if she's 17 versus 18,
how could you possibly know?
Odds are good the difference in her body is not going to be there at all. There's probably going to be no change of any significance made in that time frame.
Because both of them are adult bodies.
Yes. So
either both of them are adult bodies or neither of them are adult bodies, but to suggest that the difference between a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old is the difference between a child and an adult is a pretty dumb opinion.
Yeah, so I don't know what the law is. I know that a lot of criminal acts you have to knowingly do something. So, for instance, when I've been charged with these identity crimes, and I'll be going to trial for those in another 14 days. So 2 weeks, actually. But, they're saying that I knowingly used a false or fictitious name in order to purportedly do something criminal. I'm not sure what that would be, but that I would have knowingly had to have done it with the intention of doing something criminal, like using a false name.
You're a bad, bad man.
But if I wasn't knowingly doing something criminal, then it's not a crime. Then it's just innocent mistake. And so is it a crime? First of all, I don't think that the pictures in this case, if they are indeed just naked pictures, are child porn in the first place. But even if they were, let's say she was having sex in the pictures.
Oh boy.
Is knowingly a part of this crime? I don't know. Your thoughts are certainly welcome. 855-450 free. If so, that means that, or if rather knowingly is not a part of the criminal definition of this, then that would mean that the thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands, I don't know how many times this thing's been downloaded, but that would mean they're all felons now at this point. They've all committed a felony.
Yeah, whether they got caught or not, they're moral felons, and I suspect the people that would be pointing fingers are probably ones that haven't looked.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.